Hey everyone, it's Lainey. Welcome back to another creative craft with the Cricut Joy Xtra. Today I'm going to be using a blank from Hobby Lobby. It's just their canvas pouch. It's $1.49, so very inexpensive craft and gift to make. I'm also going to be using Printable iron-on for light fabrics from Cricut. This is compatible with the Joy Xtra, the Explorer, and the Maker. So first things first, I have already measured my blank, so I know how to size my design in Design Space. So real quick, let's go ahead and jump in Design Space and I'll show you kind of what I'm working with, and then we will prep our materials for our machine. Here we are in the canvas, and the first thing that I like to do before I start pulling designs in is to create a blank to mimic what I'm going to be working with. So I went to the shapes and selected a square and sized it accordingly in the top hand toolbar, and I also colored it to match the canvas bag, just for visual purposes, personal preference, but I think it really helps. Secondly, I am making this for my grandmother. She just became a great grandma. So I typed in under the images, grandma or great grandma, I believe. And then I came across this design and it says mom, grandma, great grandma. I just keep getting better with a heart. I thought that this was perfect. And lastly, I searched under the floral and came across this really pretty floral design that was a print and cut. You can see that it already has the offset layer, which is that white outline. So this is already prepped for us. Now, I know that the canvas bag is a canvas color and it's not white, but I like that contrast, so I'm going to keep it as so. If you pulled a different image that didn't have an offset, you could create an offset up in the top toolbar and then also change that offset color to any color you would want. It doesn't have to be white or black. You can try to match it to the blank that you're using. So just a little tip and trick there. So now we have everything in our layers panel, and you can see that I've got the floral 3 times, and it's a print and cut and the basic square like I stated. Now, as you can see, the floral is off of the blank, and I want this like this because the floral is quite large and I kind of wanted to piece it together. So because my blank is measured appropriately, what I want to do is select the square, and on my keyboard I'm going to click shift and click on that floral in the right hand corner. Now it has an entire box around everything, but if you go to your layers panel, you can see that I only have 2 layers selected, and that's what I want because I'm going to use the slice tool to clean this up a bit. The slice tool only works with 2 layers at a time. So just double check in your layers panel, it's correct. I'm going to go down to the bottom here and click on slice, and it takes a second for it to populate. But now I don't want to mess with anything on the canvas. I prefer to adjust the layers in the layers panel instead. So I can see here that it looks like it sliced off the excess there. So I'm going to just click on the eye, and that's exactly what I want. It removed the excess, and this is what's going to be print and cut, and this is how I'm going to iron it on the canvas. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the second flower. So as you can see here, it is slicing part of the shape out, but that's okay because I'm not going to use the shape. The shape is only for visual purposes, so I can get this floral size correctly and the font size correctly. All right, so moving on, I'm going to repeat the process for the other 2 floral arrangements. So once again, going to select my canvas bag, my shape, and then going to come down to the bottom, pressing shift on my keyboard, selecting the floral, double checking that the correct layers are selected in the layers panel. Once again, it is correct, so I'm going to select slice and wait for that to adjust, and then clicking on this bottom part of the floral, and that is correct. That is what I want to remove, so I'm going to remove that. And now let's see here. All right, so now this looks a little different. You can see the outline there, but that's okay because that's a shape. I want to keep reiterating that it's okay. And I know this is kind of confusing if you've only used the slice, if you haven't used the slice tool before, but it will make sense in a moment. So once again, looking at my layers panel, and I can see that I have the correct layer selected. So I right clicked and I'm going to bring it to the front, and now it looks as it should, and the excess is removed. So just going to repeat that process one more time, selecting the shape and selecting the last bit of floral and slicing it, and then going to remove the excess here. I'm actually just hiding it. And once again, let's find that floral piece and move that to the front. And that is what is going to print and cut. So I don't need this canvas bag anymore. So this is exactly what I want. And for the mom, grandma, and great grandma, I actually think that I'm going to use iron-on vinyl for this. So I'm going to hide this as well and cut that out separately. And once again, I'm going to select these 3 floral arrangements here, and I'm going to attach them. And this is what is going to print out on our printer, and then we will put it through our machine and it will cut out just as so. So my Joy Xtra is selected. This is sized accordingly. Remember, we did that in the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and follow the steps. Let's continue. And it is connecting via Bluetooth. And then now I need to turn on the overhead camera and prep our printer with the materials, and then we'll be able to cut this out on our machine. All right, so now we need to print our design from Design Space on our printable iron-on here. The back side has the Cricut and the grid system, and then the front side is white. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my printer and select the correct prompts on the computer, and I'll be right back. All right, so here the floral is printed. It is so pretty. I'm going to place it on my mat, and I am positioning the paper as it is in Design Space. The floral arrangement and the markings are on the left hand side, so that is why I am positioning it this way. Coming in with my brayer tool and just rolling it over to get this pressed down so it's adhered to the mat. And now our machine is ready for us to load. So I'm going to go ahead and load it, and it is going to measure the mat to make sure that it's the correct length for the job that it's going to do. And after it's done measuring, I am going to select go on my computer, and the cutting will begin. All right, so it is done. I need to press unload on my computer screen. And we are done with our machine. And just looking it over to see how well it cut. I think it did a decent job. So I'm going to turn my mat over, bending my mat back, and slowly, it ripped. Okay, so that little piece of floral ripped. It didn't have a very good cut. So what I'm doing is removing the material differently instead of turning my mat over, so I can monitor each part. Yeah, and it looks like that. Yeah, there's just some parts that it just didn't cut very well. So that one's kind of ruined, but it seems that these two are very pretty. Alrighty, so let me see here. Very carefully with this because you can stretch it. And there's just some areas that I'm going to have to clean up, probably with my True Control knife. So let me see if I can use the spatula to pick this up. Okay. Let's go ahead and remove this from the mat as well. I'm going to bring in my bag here, and there's just some little spots that the backer is still on there and it needs to be removed. Okay, and that one is the one that is ripped. Let me look over this one. Alright, next step, let's go ahead and prep our mini press. It needs to be on low heat, which is 1 wavy line. It will chime and turn green when it is ready. I'm going to move these aside and come in with my lint roller to prep the surface. Alright, so now I need to remove this design from the backer here so it can get ironed down. Being very careful because it can stretch and also rip because this is so thin. But I'm going to work on one floral piece at a time, positioning it here in the corner as it's supposed to be, and then coming in with the protective butcher paper that came with the pack, and I'm going to come in with firm pressure and constant movement for about 20-25 seconds, just making sure that I'm getting all of the little areas here. It was a little more difficult to, you know, work around this seam here. Uh-oh, what part of the leaf peeled up? Okay, actually, so part of the leaf just came off, so it is clipped right there. Not sure why that happened. I might have been too rough with my mini press. But I'm going to make sure that I'm getting the edges really well. Alright. And I'm going to look it over. It is really looking good. I do think that I need a little more heat on the outer layer there because it just doesn't seem to be really bonded to those fibers. So just going to come in small circular motions and firm pressure. Okay. And the first one is done. And I'm going to repeat the process, very carefully removing the backer here. Alright, so my SD card ran out of space. I'm not sure at this moment where it stopped, but just to recap, cut out the designs, removed the backer very carefully because it is a very thin material, and I'm just working in, you know, sections, piece by piece, coming in with my mini press on low heat and firm pressure and constant movement as well, because that is how the mini press is intended to be used. Similar to your household iron. Just making sure to get the edges really well and really pressing down so this printable iron-on can really stick. Alright, so last piece. And if you are not working with a glass mat, definitely use your heat press mat to protect your surface area. My glass mat can withstand some heat, so that is why I am using the glass mat instead of the heat press mat. And it's on really low heat as well, so it's not getting too hot. And as you can see, I'm just peeling this back just like a sticker, and I have this part that ripped initially. Okay, so very carefully removed that backer. And hopefully this is going to be a win. I am hoping that I can use this still, lining it up on the edge, making sure everything is flat, bringing in the butcher paper. I'm going to hold part of it down. I'm going to start up at the top, and then once I feel like it is adhered, then I can move my hand and work on the remaining part, and I don't have to worry about anything shifting. And really working along those edges there. We have 2 edges for this floral piece. I'll probably do it for about 25 to 30 seconds. Let's monitor it. And I'm going to have to probably cut, well, let's see. I wonder if I can just kind of, no, I think I'm going to cut that off with just this little corner here. Let's turn it over. It'll be easier for me to see. There we go. Perfect. All right, so what I want to do just one more time, now that they're all 3 laid down, I just want to add a little more heat over all of it, just for safe measure, and not too much because I don't want anything to be overheated and start to crinkle up. The more you work with iron on, the more you'll be able to decipher, you know, the time and if things need additional press and things like that. Okay. And it is completely done. I absolutely love the colors, and it's got the little rip there, but it's ironed down. You can't, it's noticeable to me because I know it's there, but it looks like it's part of the design because the canvas is just kind of coming through on part of the leaf. But it is all ironed down, and this is just another creative way to use your Cricut Joy Xtra and this really unique material. And yeah, I'm loving it. Now, I do want to say, you know, these sheets are 8.5 by 11. The best way to use those sheets is to fill it up. So for this project in particular, I didn't, but it would be wise for you to, you know, make sure you have all your little designs on the sheet so you can maximize the printable iron-on. You know, for example, this side's the floral. I could have done this twice and made 2 bags, or I could have had different little designs or one larger design on here and use it for a completely different project. Just, you know, use your materials as you see fit, but that is the best way to save money and, you know, really use your materials to its full potential, because this goes in your printer, and now this can't go in the printer like this because it'll get stuck. However, I do have a top tray that I can adjust the size to, and I can still use this sliver here. But if you don't have a larger printer like that or those capabilities, definitely maximize your materials. So for the second step, what I need to do is print out that mom, grandma, and great-grandma on some iron-on vinyl. So I'm going to do that real quick, and we'll come back and iron on the sentiment. So I have the sentiment cut out on the iron-on. I just need to do some weeding. But I wanted to show you, I purchased this back in fall, and I used it in one of my Thanksgiving videos. It is, I believe it's called like a boho pack, and it's all these really pretty colors of iron-on. If it's still available, I will definitely link it down below for you. I really, really like the colors. And, you know, the bottom portion is a script. It's very intricate, and it cuts and weeds really well. So just wanted to point that out to you guys. My mini press just chimed. It is ready for me. It is on medium heat. I just have to weed out the little centers here, and then we will make this permanent. I think my grandma is really going to like this little bag. So same process as before, bringing in my lint roller and just going over the area where I need to place the iron on. Okay, and my heat press is ready on medium heat. I'm going to heat up the surface as well. The preheat amount is about 5 seconds according to Cricut Heat Guide. Also helps get some of those wrinkles out of the bag as well. And now, I did lose a dot to an eye, but I think it's going to be fine. Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit. Maybe you can see it a bit better now. So, constant movement, firm pressure for about 25 to 30 seconds. This I worked with before, as I stated earlier, and it really doesn't take much time at all for it to get ironed down. Or at least it didn't for my sweater weather sweater I made in the fall season. Just making sure to stay on that carrier sheet and not, you know, accidentally get some of the printable iron on, because it doesn't have a protective film on it. Okay. And it is a cool peel, so I'm going to turn it directly over on my glass mat, and it'll just help the cooling process, the cooling down process go a little faster. Actually, much faster. Okay. Still a little warm, but just barely. Moving slow. Everything seemed to stick down quite nicely. And now let's bring in the heart and making sure it's aligned with the O. Okay, and just very carefully using the corner, the tip of this little iron, just to work that heart, just to make sure that heart gets ironed down and, you know, I don't touch the rest of it. There we go. And now, officially, let's cut off the tag. And I want to show you, you know, the bag is opened and everything is really ironed down. And you can fold it and nothing happens. Like it is adhered and it's not going anywhere. So that is it, Mom, Grandma, Great-Grandma. I just keep getting better. And the beautiful floral arrangement at the bottom. And that's it. The finished product. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And also remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content with more creative crafts with the Cricut Joy Xtra. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.